Hello, fellow Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode. My name is Sean Waskrug, with me as always is Brian Michaels. And today we're here for one of the bigger films of the year so far. We're talking about Captain America, I almost said Winter Soldier, Captain America Brave New World. We're going to be doing a non-spoiler review and then have a spoiler discussion afterwards. But first, we have a few other reviews to get through real quick. 3 of them are just going to be me, and then we're going to have one together, and then we'll go into Cap. So follow the timestamps below if you just want to go to the Cap one. If not, enjoy the ride. First things first, I think I talked about this on last week's episode, that there was a Shudder movie called Dark Match, which was a pro wrestling horror film. I was not expecting great things. I wasn't. But it's got Chris Jericho. It's got Stephen Ogg, which most people know him from Grand Theft Auto 5. He played the crazy character. I'm blanking on the character name in Grand Theft Auto, but I know him from that. He's a character actor. I mean, if you look at him, he's like Walton Goggins with, scruff. You've seen him in 1,000 things. Basically, the main plot is it's following like this kind of rinky-dink indie promotion, and they all get basically paid $50,000 to come do a show or a dark match on at this cult farm, not realizing that their matches are actually ritual sacrifices. Concept-wise, that's pretty cool. I actually like the concept of it. But once again, this is one of those like straight to Shudder VOD kind of thing, so the budget's not that strong. And because of that, my main problems with it is the concept is cool. The acting obviously is not great. The dialogue's not that great. The wrestling, no, you can clearly tell none of these people outside of Jericho are actual wrestlers because their wrestling matches aren't good. My main issue with it was that they chose to shoot probably about 90% of this movie in like that grainy fog visual because they're trying to make it so that way you can't see how shitty the wrestling is. But even when it's not wrestling scenes, it's still shot in this grainy, like hazy fog. Like you don't know if you're in a dream state or not. And it's like nothing's even happening right now. They're just talking in a bedroom or they're on a bus or something like that. And it's still got this grainy haze. And it just got very annoying very fast. And it was just like, you know what? I bet you I would probably give this movie a whole star more if it just didn't look grummy and like crappy, like they couldn't afford to have good HD cameras. Because there are some cool aspects and thoughts in it, but it's taken down by just the D-grade level of how this is shot. And Jericho, we know, can act to a point, and he's not really asked to do a whole lot in this. He's basically just playing the villain of this. He's playing the leader, is what his character name is called, and at least on the cast list anyway. So it's not anything that he can't do, but the dialogue is so, like, just rough through the whole thing. So like I said, I wasn't expecting great things. It's not great. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you might still want to check it out just because it's a pro wrestling horror film. And I think the only other one was there's like that random pro wrestling zombie movie that had like Piper and like a bunch of like old school wrestlers in it, which was more just them just going around and fucking having fun. It was like, what is this kind of thing? But it's on Shudder. I gave it 1.5. Like I said, had the potential to be a 2.5, but the grimy like choreography shots of it just didn't work for me overall. Next, Brian talked about Heart Eyes on our last episode. I finally got to watch it, so I'm just gonna give you my thoughts real quick. Brian, what was your general statements for Heart Eyes without going too deep?
My general thoughts were that I enjoyed the characters and I enjoyed a lot of things about it, but it had an issue with trying to decide what kind of movie it wanted to be. If it wanted to be taken seriously or if it wanted to just be fun gore, because it like needed to go lean one way or the other a little bit more. That's the basics of it.
And I'm inclined to agree. I felt like this movie really kind of wanted to be almost a parody of a rom-com while still being a rom-com wrapped in a horror film. Because there's horror aesthetics. It starts off very horror. And then you even told me, it's like, yeah, it starts off hot, but then it takes like an hour just to do like the life of this woman with nothing going on. And then if it remembers, oh, wait, we're a horror movie at the end of it. And that is exactly what this movie's like. I, for the most part, like the cast. I thought, trying to find the main leads here on the cast list, but of course IMDb does it by like when they popped up on screen.
Well, Mason
So I'm having a hard time. Oh yeah, Olivia Holt played Allie. She's the main lead, and then of course Mason Gooding as Jay. I enjoyed both of them. I thought they were both really good. I haven't really seen Olivia Holt in many things. I know she was in that like Cloak and Dagger, but I never watched that Marvel show when it was on. And of course Mason Gooding, we've seen. He's an up and comer. We've seen him in a lot of things. I think they
the only
both.
thing I've seen her in is that Totally Killer. Is the only thing I've seen her in.
I barely remember what character she was in that, so I can't really even say. Oh yeah, I remember her.
Lead, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I just knew she wasn't the lead. But I liked her. I liked her chemistry with Mason Gooding. I thought all that was good. The kills were solid through it. It was just, once again, you just had these cliche lines. Like there's this, like the friend, like they just kind of abandoned characters. I love that Jordana Brewster and Devon Sawa were in it. They weren't utilized as much, especially Devon Sawa. I was incredibly bummed when he was not in the movie nearly as long. But Jordana, she got to have fun in her role. Wasn't really crazy about the killer reveal at the end. I thought it had one good aspect of it, and then they went a little too far into it. I was like, okay, you lost me. I do think I'm just gonna call it the drive-in. I thought the drive-in scene was great. I thought every aspect of that worked really fucking well. But there was just too many things that you could just pick apart in the movie, which kind of irked me because I'm watching. I was like, well, that didn't. There's no way that could work because of XYZ, and you have to use like your horror brain, and your horror brain's not computing with what's actually happening on screen on certain points. So, like I said, I liked it for what it was, but it definitely wasn't perfect. And I agree with what Brian said. If it knew, I couldn't tell if it wanted to take itself seriously or if it just wanted to kind of be a parody of itself. I think if it took itself more seriously and decided that it wanted to be a horror film with rom-com tendencies, more than a rom-com with horror wrapped around it, I think Hard Eyes would have been a little bit stronger, and I'd be open to seeing more of this as a franchise. But this feels very much like a one and done kind of thing. I kind of gave it the same score as Brian. I gave it 3 stars. It was a high 3 because I was like, I did enjoy it. So it's like right below 3.5.
If I watch it again, we'll see.
Yeah, it's right below 3.5, but it's definitely a high 3 for me. Next, these are the 3 movies that actually came out this week. Paddington in Peru came out in theaters. It's been out a while in the UK, so there was so many people who were already talking about it, but I waited until it actually got released to talk about it. I've always been a lover of the Paddington films. I thought the first 2 films were near perfect. I thought they were charming as hell. I was not expecting to like either one, and then I think I randomly watched the first one day. I was like, this is really fucking good, and the second one was even better. One of the things that works great with Paddington is they take these A-list like actors and they make them the villains, and you just don't expect it. Like I think the first film was like Nicole Kidman, and she killed it. And then the second one was Hugh Grant, and he fucking deserved an Oscar nomination for his a supporting. He was so fucking good. It was just so much fun. Like remember how I was championing like John Goodman for 10 Cloverfield Lane? That's how I felt for Hugh Grant in Paddington 2. Love the characters. This time around, we've got Antonio Banderas, we've got Olivia Colman. Oh God, what's her name? Sally, Shape of Water. Sally, the actress.
Oh. I don't remember offhand. I can look it up.
I'm blanking on her name.
Hawkins,
it's Sally
Hawkins.
Sally Hawkins. Yeah, she's the mom of the family. She did not come back for the third one. She was replaced by Emily Mortimer, who I love. She's good in it. I've seen her do better. The rest of the cast is all back for this, and it definitely has that warm remembrance of the first 2 films. It just, for some reason, doesn't quite hit as well as the first 2 movies. Paddington in Peru is still charming as hell, fun to watch for all ages. Paddington, once again, Ben is a Wishaw. He's solid in it, like always. He's always fantastic as Paddington. The rest of the cast is solid around it. It just was more of the story because it kind of turned into like Jungle Cruise with Paddington, and then they kind of split up. And it just didn't flow as well as it could have been. But it's still a solid 4-star film for me. Paddington in Peru is always solid. It's just a step down from the first two films, which I think I gave both of them 4.5s. But Peru definitely got a 4-star review. Still recommendation. Just don't expect the same level as the first two films because the third one doesn't quite reach that there. Next, now we're going to do back to our joint reviews. We had a film that we both were excited for once we saw the trailers for on Apple. Is it Apple TV or Apple Plus?
Apple TV Plus, technically.
Apple TV Plus. We were talking about The Gorge. Now, this was a movie that up till about a month and a half ago, Brian and I had never heard of at all. It wasn't even one of those that we read a synopsis and it didn't have a title. We're like, yeah, this looks cool. Let's talk about it. It just was a random trailer drop. I was like, have you seen this? He's like, yeah. I was like, this is either going to be really good or it's going to suck. It stars Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. I've talked enough, Brian, so why don't you tell them what the movie's about and you go into what your thoughts were.
Also directed by Scott Derrickson, by the way.
Yeah, so, Scott Derrickson as well.
It's definitely got a good pedigree behind it. It's essentially a two-person cast. I mean, there are some brief appearances, mostly voices, but a little bit of other stuff. But it's basically a two-person cast. And this is a movie that it starts off with basically you have Miles Teller is recruited to go basically stand guard at this gorge. He has somebody on the West Tower, and they have somebody else who turns out to be Anya Taylor-Joy on the East Tower, overlooking this gorge. He doesn't know anything about what's inside it. He doesn't exactly even know what he's supposed to be doing. All he knows is he's supposed to, go around, make sure that everything's working. He does all his defense systems and things. And he has to do radio check once a month. And he's not supposed to have any contact with the person across the gorge, but he's just there on his own, just doing his thing. He eventually starts to, kind of strike up a communication with Anya Taylor-Joy, and they start getting along. And those are actually the parts of the movie I think I was really enjoying, like the two of them, like holding up signs, like, Dawn of the Dead style.
Very Dawn of the Dead kind of thing. Yeah, it was great.
I kind of loved the atmosphere they had. It was kind of playful and stuff. And then we weren't getting spoilers, so I won't go into, where their communication stuff goes from there. But then I don't know, halfway through the movie, I mean, there's an action scene kind of early on. But then kind of halfway through the movie, it takes a hard turn, and it's just a straight up survival horror video game. It's like you're playing through Resident Evil or Silent Hill or something like that. And even the look of the film is like that, and some of the even the action scenes, I could see those being parts of a video game kind of thing. And it's not that I didn't enjoy that stuff, because it was actually pretty enjoyable. I just kind of wanted more of the the first half of the movie. And I know that's not what the movie's about. But it's I kind of wish they'd extended that part a little bit more. But like I said, the action, that was pretty good. I think, especially for an Apple TV Plus movie, I think the, effects and everything were very strong. I think it helps that it was, directed by, a real director, Scott Derrickson, not just some, director for hire kind of thing. Yeah, but I actually ended up enjoying this. I mean, I didn't love it. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I will say Anya Taylor-Joy looks pretty hot with short, dark hair. Just saying.
Yeah, it definitely. I was telling you, it took me 15 minutes to get used to it. But after that words, yeah, I actually really enjoyed the dark hair, kind of shorter hair from her. Main thing too is that she just looked like she was having fun in this one, because she always is playing super serious kind of face most of the time. This one, she looked like she was just having fun with Miles Teller in this, which I enjoy it when I can see that they're actually having fun in the movie, because these are two I don't want to call them tortured people, but they both have gone through it. And then once they actually start communicating, you can just see kind of the levity of it.
They both have these pasts, and they even talk about how the reason they're chosen for this is early in the film, so not spoilers. The reason they're chosen is because they want people to have no connections,
no attachments.
Yeah. So it's like they can go there and do their job, and people won't miss it.
Yeah, because the main thing is that they're supposed to make sure nothing comes out of the gorge. That's the whole tagline, is don't let anything come out of it. And they're supposed to keep watch of this one section that I guess is not covered by the turrets and all that shit.
Yeah, they have automatic turrets and stuff, and they have to man these giant guns and stuff.
And when we do get that first sequence, that first action, I loved it. I was like, this is fucking awesome. I had so much fun with this movie. I loved it. I thought Miles and Anya were great. Sigourney Weaver is in it as well. That's not a spoiler or anything. She's the one who hires them. I wouldn't mind had a little more Sigourney in the movie. Maybe they could have, I get they only had the radio check thing, but we know that she has a radio communication at one point. I would have liked a little more Sigourney. But I agree with you on the first half. I loved the relationship that was building between the two. And when they finally, go a little bit further with that, I was like, all right, cool. So we're going to go with this for a little bit. And then it's like right away, bam, shit goes to hell. And I was like, damn, we're already doing this? Like, I was watching it with Kimberly. I was like, man, we're already going here. Like, I thought we were going to get like maybe 15 more minutes of like them, like, you know, being more together before shit hit the fan. I was like you, I kind of wanted more of that. And then even as we were watching the second half of the film, even Kimberly was like, this is straight a fucking horror video game. She goes, I could totally see myself playing this game. Like, I was like, yeah, it's like Silent Hill, basically. And she was like, she said The Last of Us. I was like, yeah, it's like a Silent Hill, Last of Us kind of thing, which I wasn't mad at. I think the thing that kept it from going even higher for me is I was super intrigued by what the Gorge was. But then once we kind of found out what the I don't want to call it the twist, but the main aspect of what the Gorge is, kind of lost a little bit of the zeal for me. I was like, oh, so it's that? I was kind of hoping it was what they thought it was, which was kind of like an open door to hell kind of thing. Yeah. And then we found out, like, no, it's not that. It's the same fucking thing that we always get in every movie or TV show. I was like, aw, you kind of lost. Like, you had something really, really fucking unique here. And then you kind of just went to the same old trick. But even with the same old trick, I thought Miles and Anya were great in the film. I thought their chemistry made sense. I thought the action sequences looked great. I agree with you. I thought everything looked fantastic. If you told me Scott Derrickson didn't do this and Alex Garland did, I wouldn't have been surprised, because when they actually do go down into the Gorge, it's in the trailers, guys. It's not a spoiler. The visual horror that they are seeing down there is beautiful. It reminded me of Annihilation, and that is the highest of
and it really was creepy as fuck. Because I mean, I don't get scared in movies, but I'm watching this movie, and like some of the other variations of creatures that came out, I'm like, nope, don't like that, nope.
there's especially the, I'm just gonna call it the crosswalk. I'm not gonna say anything about, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That was fucking eerie and creepy as hell. And then there's in the church, and I'm just gonna say there are a certain kind of bug, and I'm watching, and I go, nope. And Kimberly's laughing because I'm like, nope, fuck that. No. You're wasting too many bullets. Nope, run. You know, but I was able to completely lose myself into it. Yeah. And it's probably the most fun I had watching a movie so far this year. I'm glad I got to watch it at home, but I was like, this one should have went to theaters. I think it would have done really well. I don't think it would have crossed like 100 mil in theaters, but I think, granted, it had to go against Captain America, but if they would have dropped this like 2 weeks ago in January, this thing would have cleaned up.
Or even in the next couple weeks, because there's not a whole lot of big stuff coming out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about like, because it's, you know, kind of horror. If you would have dropped this in January, I think this would have cleaned up all month. Because, like I said, it's a good.
Or at least would have made something. Since Apple TV, you're making it and you're going to put it on Apple TV Plus anyway. So why not make a few $1 million before you do?
Exactly. I think this is going to be one of those movies where, like, this should have been released in theaters. I would have loved to have seen it in theaters. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars. They were halfway through the film. I was like, this is a 4.5 star film. And then once it became like once it became the cliche thing for me. Well, because it's like 4.5, because it's like, I wasn't expecting much. And I was having so much fun with it. I was into the world building that they had, and everything I thought was working really, really well. I couldn't really find any negatives of what I was watching. So like, it was right there. And then we got to the cliche, which didn't break the movie for me. It was just like, if you just would have went full fledged with it, you know, I would have been like 4.5. But it's a good 4 for me. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Definitely a strong recommendation if you guys have Apple TV Plus. If you don't, not really any other way for you guys to watch unless you become pirates, if you guys know what I'm saying. But it's definitely a strong recommendation.
I will say most of the Apple TV Plus movies do end up popping up for like rental or purchase on like the other digital sites eventually. But
eventually, yeah. As of right now, though, you basically have.
As of right now, it's just Apple TV Plus.
Yes. But yes, next we're going to Captain America: Brave New World, Captain America 4, whatever hell you want to call it. This is one that I think we both were excited for because of one big aspect, but I think you were more excited for that aspect than I was. I was more excited because unlike most people, apparently I feel like I'm the only one on this fucking hill. I actually enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's one of my favorite ones that they've done. And that's because I just really like Anthony Mackie as Falcon, and I love Bucky, and I loved how they interact with each other, and I love Carl Lumbly in everything he does. And I enjoyed the characters that we had in that. Plus, Falcon and Winter Soldier also gave us oh god, what's his? Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. Fucking from Civil War. No, Daniel Bruhl. Is it Daniel Bruhl? Yeah, his dance. We got the dance, and I thought that was hilarious when it came out. But I actually really enjoyed Falcon Winter Soldier, so this to me felt like a connection to that. So I was more excited about it because I wanted to see Mackie as Captain America. I know he's not everyone's choice for it. Everyone wanted Bucky to be it, but Bucky can't be Cap. He can't be. So Mackie is the next best choice. And I like the way his suit looks, and I was excited for this. And of course, we got Harrison Ford, and that's the other reason that Brian was excited for it was for the big reason, which was Red Hulk. But yeah, this was one that I was genuinely excited for, but you just kept hearing there was a ton of reshoots, and it's kind of just getting mixed reviews. So it was like, do I need to, temper my expectations, or can I go into this like I go into most Marvel movies with my general excitement because it's MCU and I love the MCU and I can't wait to watch it. You got to see it before me. I just got out of it a few hours ago, so it's still I have a general idea, but like I have been kind of going all over the place with it, so I feel like I have my thoughts in order. But why don't you go ahead?
Well, let me just start with saying I enjoyed Falcon Winter Soldier to an extent. I think I was just expecting something different because they advertised as like this, almost buddy comedy action kind of thing with Bucky and Falcon. And it turned out to be a lot more serious, especially in the last couple episodes. We're just getting like super preachy. That's where they kind of lost a lot of people. Like, okay, we're just going to pound you over the head with the message of this fucking series. But there were things about it to like. I did not like his outfit at the end of Falcon Winter Soldier. Luckily, basically they had the one scene here, and then like, nope, we're gonna ditch that and give him a new one. Like, good for them because this one looks much better. I will say that as far as my feelings on Sam becoming Captain America, I was kind of like, first of all, I don't know why you has to have somebody become a Captain America. Just have him be Sam, and he can just like step up to a bigger role. But fine, they can give it to him. I was afraid they were going to basically turn him into Captain America, and then basically have this other guy taking over as Falcon.
Danny Ramirez.
Yeah, right. But what I was not expecting, is it Miguel Torres? I forgot. I was trying to think of
Joaquin Torres.
Joaquin Torres, that's what it was. But I liked what they did end up doing with it was he basically is still Falcon with Captain America's shield. He's still using the wings and the jetpacks and all that kind of stuff. He's Falcon with Captain America's shield, and he's taking the name as Captain America as like a symbol. They aren't really trying to make him another Captain America. He's still kind of his own thing, just taking on the name. So I'm cool with that. I like how they did that. I did like Danny Ramirez as the new Falcon. I was a little worried that just tacking on a new guy, but I think that he has a great personality to him. I think that's what won it for me. So I'm good on him. I was most excited. I know I'm most excited because you talked about how psyched I was to see Red Hulk in this movie. I don't know because
every time we talked about it, that was the one thing you focused on was Red Hulk.
I would say I don't think I was like super psyched to see it so much as that was the only thing in it that really interested me from what we had seen. It's like, oh, cool, I want to see the Red Hulk scenes. That looks kind of cool, but the rest of it's kind of like, eh. And I mean, the Red Hulk stuff, honestly, I would have rather we didn't know about that going in, but obviously we're going to market the hell out of that.
Exactly. I'll touch on that more, but yes.
There's no way that wasn't getting out. So they figured let's lean into it, especially once the toys hit on its original release date 2 years ago. Had Red Hulk and the Happy Meals and things like that. But I did really enjoy the Red Hulk scenes in it. I will say that I was right into my prediction. I mean, it wasn't everybody kind of predicted this, but that he was essentially a 10-15 minute section of the movie, and that was it. So it wasn't like it was like Red Hulk throughout the whole movie or anything. The rest of the movie,
you really couldn't do that though. Anyway, you couldn't do him that the whole movie.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's how everybody kind of knew it was only a small part. So if that was the one thing that looked interesting, I was worried that the rest of it wouldn't live up to it. I will say I did like the kind of political thriller tone, especially in that first half. I was actually really enjoying kind of how that was going, and then it turned it a little bit more. As soon as they started like going off to investigate the mystery or the, whatever, then it kind of started dragging down, and then you get the big action scene at the end, which is cool, but it's kind of like, as far as the tone of the movie, I was enjoying that first part more. The action I thought was decent. I mean, the fight scenes were okay. They were a little more stiff and stilted than usual. Same thing with the aerial fight scenes. I thought they were decent, but nothing spectacular. But that's my general thoughts. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. It was kind of.
So what did you give it before we go spoiler?
I have it at 3.5 at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I went into it, like I said, with not high, but with excited expectations. I wanted to see what they did with Mackie and Ford and all that. And of course, Juan Carlo Esposito. I love Juan Carlo Esposito, and I really had no idea what his character was. I just knew he was in the movie. He seemed like a bad guy. Cool. I thought the first Falcon scene, the first Cap scene was fun. I loved him coming in and just kicking ass, the way he was using his suit and was it Red Wing? I love how they utilized that. And then like Joaquin was kind of like the guy in the chair. And I was like, what? And then he's like, oh wait, Falcon, you're up. Yay! And he was like kind of like Robin. He was just so excited and happy. And then he came in and he had his fun moments, and which I did really love the chemistry between Danny Ramirez and Anthony Mackie. It was like Anthony Mackie and Cap and Steve, like they're cool, like they're bros, but they didn't really have like fun. That was more Bucky and Steve, and Mackie was always like the third wheel. This one, like I felt the friendship between those two. It was like a mentor-mentoree, but still fun, like a Batman-Robin kind of thing. But I really enjoyed that first sequence. I thought everything about it was great. I like how they added the Wakanda effect to it, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Because I noticed it, I was like, are they doing a Black Panther thing? And sure enough, it was. After that, though, the movie fell apart for me. We like I said, we knew about there was a ton of reshoots. This movie felt like a hack job. There's so many scenes that just felt like they were cropped and pushed together. There are scenes where you can clearly tell these two actors are not in the same fucking room because they're not reacting and selling to each other. Especially Tim Blake Nelson. You said this in your Letterboxd review, and I 1,000%. Tim Blake Nelson is in this movie as Samuel Stearns. You guys know him from the original Incredible Hulk back in early days of MCU. He's in this movie. He is not. There's no way he's on set with everyone else. And the main problem with that is too, and this is the thing that just once again took me out of the movie. And I know MCU gets shit on this a lot, but I've never been one of those that have shit on them for this. The CGI of this movie, when it's not Captain, flying, is atrocious.
Yeah, like a lot of it, like Hulk and everything is fine.
No, yeah, he looks good. I'm talking about anything
when they're trying to they're putting basically backgrounds, like the simple stuff. Like especially there's the final scene with Samuel Stearns. You watch him, and it just looks like a dude standing in front of a screen. I'm like,
he looks so like there's a scene where it's Samuel Stearns and Sam talking to each other, and they're like maybe 10-15 feet away from each other, but you can clearly tell that Tim Blake Nelson's not there, that he is clearly behind in front of a green screen, and he's a different room. He looks like he's like 3 feet shorter than Sam in the scene. It's because I don't know why. It's like I can visually see.
Originally, from what I understand, they filmed all of Tim Blake Nelson's scenes with a very different, more comic accurate look with like a fucking tall head and shit. Yeah. And so they changed the look of him. So basically refilmed all the scenes, which is why they had to chop up and put him on green screens and shit.
It looks awful. And then the post-credit scene, I don't know what happened here. Because it's not like they've shot in, I'm going to just say, that location before. It's not anything new. But the background behind Sam, it looked like you were on a Disney ride, and like when they hey, will you come in and shoot this for like a day for the Disney ride? And they have like a really shitty CGI background. That's what it looked like behind Sam. And I'm sorry, this is the MCU, and that is inexcusable. Because I'm really watching, like, does it really look that fucking fake behind him right now? This is horrible. And
Well, and then when you take
Anthony
into consideration the fact that, like, it's not, how there was a while they were talking about, oh, they're pumping out stuff so fast, they're working on so many projects, the CGI is suffering because people get overworked and short schedules, things like that. This thing's been delayed so many times. They had plenty of time to work on this shit.
Yeah, there's just so many parts of this movie that just look rough and just really rough. And like, I haven't seen a movie this chopped up and splintered together probably since BVS. It's better than BVS, I'll say that. But I'm watching it, I was like, I don't know if we have a proper through line, because this movie did feel like 2 acts. The Red Hulk, it's the finale of this movie, okay, guys? That doesn't feel like the finale. That feels like the middle, and then, oh, there's a bigger thing about to happen, and
That's
this is
like
leading in,
yeah.
This is just leading into the big final part. And no, that's it. That's it. That's the end of the movie. I was like, this doesn't even feel like a full fucking film. This, if you told me this was a TV series, I'm like, okay, this is the end of the episode. We got season finale next week. It's like, nope, this is the end of the fucking movie. It's like, this doesn't even feel right. It's an hour and 47-minute movie, which is really short for MCU. This movie needed about 20, 25 more minutes. I'm not saying it needed another big action set piece, which there's not really a whole lot of action in the movie either. There's like the big arrow scene, there's the Red Hulk fighting Cap, and then there's the thing in the beginning. That's kind of, for the most part, it. There's like little things here and there.
A little hand-to-hand, and
yeah, hand-to-hand and some gunfighting, but nothing super crazy. But like, I'm watching this, I'm just like, this feels like half a film, and it's not even that good of a half. Like,
it really did feel like more of a TV show, and I think part of the reason I felt like that is because it was such a patchwork of different scripts, clearly, and they were not, because I mean, reshoots are a part of most major films these days. Maybe not to the extent of this one, but most major films plan on reshoots because they see what's working and what's not working editing. They say, oh, we need to change these things or pick up these things. Yeah. But this one just felt like 4 different scripts. Just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, is I love Anthony Mackie, but I could tell when he was doing a reshot scene, because it just didn't like there's just certain scenes where it didn't like he was really given 110%. Like, he was just tired of it, and he just wanted to get these shot. Because there's certain scenes I'm like, Sam, you probably should have given more in this scene than what you're given. And I was just like, I feel like this scene wasn't really originally a part. Because there's times where or Anthony Mackie's acting really well. And there's other scenes where it just kind of looks like he just doesn't really care. Like, facial expression-wise, he's just kind of a blank slate. And I'm just like, he just acts like he doesn't give a shit. Harrison Ford, shockingly, he's got some great moments in this.
Harrison Ford, was actually putting forth some effort. He was actually present and alive and talking. And he had a lot more screen time than I expected him to have, honestly. I expected him to be kind of very much a supporting character until the Red Hulk part. But he had almost as much screen time as Anthony, it seemed like.
Danny Ramirez, I thought, was great. He's a welcome addition to the MCU. I'm excited to see what they do with him further. Hopefully they do more. Shira Haas, not a fan.
Hated her character. I don't think she's a good actress. I don't like the way she looks. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say that kind of thing, but I don't like the way she looks, especially when she tried to play her off as somebody who can hand-to-hand combat kick all these people's asses. Because like I said in my review, she will weigh 80 pounds soaking wet. I didn't like her voice, and there's been controversy around her because this Israeli actress in this current climate of the Israel-Palestine thing. I'm just gonna say right up front, has nothing to do with her ethnicity. It has to do with this specific actress. Didn't care for her.
Basically, what they were trying to do through this movie, especially when they do the political part, is they're trying to make this Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was great because it had a fucking amazing script, it had amazing directors behind it, and everyone was bought in on it. Danny's clearly playing, Falcon in this movie, obviously. Sam's Cap, and Shira Haas is clearly trying to be Scarlett Johansson. She is not Scarlett Johansson, guys.
No.
And at the end of the movie, she tries to act it a little more. I was like, well, she's at least starting to show a little bit of energy with her character, but it's too far too gone. Like, we've gone too far. And I agree, the political aspect was intriguing until, like you said, they started going on investigations, and I was getting bored. I had just got done working, and I was nodding off. And I was like, I shouldn't be nodding off in an MCU movie. And that was the problem, is the middle of the film, I was just like, I don't care I don't care what's going on, because the movie, at the end of the day, all it was about was introducing Antimantium into the MCU. That's all it was. What else was this movie about? It was about to get it's about getting Animanium into the MCU, and it just Giancarlo. He's basically Crossbones. He's not the main villain. There's
well,
no.
It's first of all, it's Giancarlo. By the way, not Juan Carlo. I know you don't care, but but he's a good actor, and I think that his acting is fine. He's trying to sink his teeth into this, villainous role, but he just feels like generic, soldier character, henchman kind of guy. And
he's George St. Pierre in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But has more lines.
I feel like if this was like a TV show or something, he could have a more major role as like one of the main villains of a story or something like that. But here he's just like this character. It's kind of, they introduce him, then they do away with him, and he's kind of completely inconsequential.
And he has this huge vendetta against Cap, and there's no explanation why. They never give any detail. And I'll get a little further into the spoiler aspect with Tim Blake Nelson, because I have another fucking bone to pick with that, and it's more. It has nothing to do with how he looks, which is fucking awful.
The only other non-spoiler thing I want to talk about, Carl Lumbly, phenomenal in this.
Fucking fantastic.
He was great. I mean, every time he was,
so damn good.
When he has to show emotion and stuff, like the time when he's, because you've seen in the trailers where he has assassination attempt, which obviously we know he wasn't doing that willingly. But then when he knows he's going back to jail, and you see that emotion in his face, like, oh, he did a phenomenal job.
I would have rather just had a whole movie about them trying to figure out, which that was kind of what the point was that they were trying to find his innocence, and then it veers off into this whole other thing with the Antimantium and Red Hulk and stuff like that. Once again, this is the 4 other scripts all coming into play. When they were focusing on Isaiah, that's the movie I wanted to see, because they brilliantly brought him in Falcon Winter Soldier, and he was a character that you wanted to care about. He's a character that you wanted to love and enjoy. I thought he actually worked really well with Danny Ramirez, and the little scenes that we got, I enjoyed their chemistry together. And then he's knocked out. Well, he's not knocked out of the movie, but he gets arrested, so he's kind of stuck in jail for most of the damn film, so you don't really get to see him much anymore. But the movie itself, I wanted to enjoy it, much like most MCU films. I was bored, frustrated, and just agitated through this entire thing with the aimless script, the lackluster through line throughout the whole film, the lack of a decent villain in this. Like, it felt like almost like season or like phase 1 MCU to a point. Like I said, it felt like 2 out of 3 acts, and we still didn't get to see the 3rd act yet. Shitty CGI. This is 2 stars. This is one of my lowest MCU scores. I did not have fun with this. I'm glad you did.
It's still, I want to say, I looked at my list the other day. I think it's like 7th from the bottom for me. So it's still fairly low, but that's just because the MCU, in my opinion, has so few misses, but there's definitely some below it, like Eternals and Quantumania, a couple other ones. Yeah.
And see, here's the thing. I'm out because I spent so much time after this trying to figure out where I'm going to rank it. I have Eternals and them ranked higher than it, not because they're better. It's because they actually, script-wise, direction-wise, they have a through line. This is an incomplete film. There are fun parts in this movie. There are parts in this movie I really liked and I really enjoyed, but the whole movie as a whole is incredibly bad. The only movie that from MCU that I was like, I can't, at a good conscience, put this movie above was Iron Man 2, because I think Iron Man 2 is really not good. And the only reason why I give like Thor: The Dark World, which is like my 2nd lowest one, above this is, once again, it's a full script. It's a full fucking script. This is not a full fucking script. This is 4 scripts forced into one, and it doesn't even have a legit ending. And so, like I said, 2 stars for me. Brian gave it 3.5. I know we went kind of spoilery in there, but now we're going fucking full on spoilers. So if you guys haven't seen it yet,
it wasn't already in trailers and things. So.
No, we just dug a little deeper into the plot than we probably should have. But here's your warning: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Okay. First off, they never call him the leader, but Samuel Stearns. So his whole motivations through this entire fucking film, the main bad guy's motivations through this whole fucking film, was to make Ross look bad. That's it. He's not trying to take. He's the fucking leader. He's not trying to overtake anyone. He's not trying to. He's basically trying to do what Daniel Brühl did for Civil War. He's trying to start a war.
Well, the thing is, he has more grandiose plans, I'm sure. But the thing was
but
that
we don't see it. We don't hear about it. We don't.
Supposedly doing this work for the president, who apparently had made him some kind of promise that he would like help him either get out or just get to a regular prison or something like that.
Yeah.
But then he'd been like, months into his presidency, and he basically just said, fuck you, he screwed him on the deal. And so he wanted to take revenge on him. Yeah.
Yeah, it basically became a petty thing.
Yeah.
The whole movie is about the leader being petty towards Ross for not getting him out within his first 3 months of being a president. That is the main focal point of the bad guy in this movie, guys. Are you? That's an episode of the week thing for a TV show, not a fucking MCU film, people. Because explain this to me then. So we get that final conversation with him and Sam. I'm gonna give myself up, but it doesn't matter because what's gonna happen to Ross is gonna end things. All he did was hijack a speaker system and do a phone conversation. Did he really have to give himself up to do that? No, he did not. He could have been still out there. What point did he have to give himself up to turn Ross into the Hulk? There's no point. There's no reasoning behind that. Oh my god, it infuriates me. I'm watching, like, okay, well, there's got to be something. There's got to be a reasoning for this. And then as I'm watching,
it's supposedly like he's so smart he can like predict all like all the possible outcomes and things like this, kind of like Doctor Strange does. But and then so like every time he's like, oh, there's a 78% chance this can happen, 20% this, and he like, and towards the end he basically he was wrong about the one thing and ended up getting kind of screwed over by Cap. But the only way that they could possibly explain this is if it's kind of like Doctor Strange thing, where it's like, okay, you can take me to jail because I know that this is going to lead to this, and eventually, something else is going to happen. But I don't think he's a big enough character they're going to use him anymore in the future. So it's
it'd be one thing if he was getting himself caught so he can go to the raft and then break out all these bad guys, like Joker and Arkham. Like he's throwing himself in because he knows if he gets into the raft, he's intelligent enough to get out of that. That would have been a good post-credit scene to show. There's the reason why, not
or the third act.
Yeah, or the third act as well. How is Cap? Because once again, he's not a super soldier, and that's his identity through the whole film. Is I want to be Cap, I can't be Cap because I'm not a super soldier. I'm human. Which, first off, he got obliterated in that fight with that tall dude. Like he got gut wrench power bombed. He got a pro wrestling move and put through a table, broke a rib. He got shot, stabbed 2 or 3 times by Juan Carlos Esposito. Yeah, and he's still running around doing everything full speed. Motherfucker, you are a super soldier. Don't act like you ain't. And then you got your ass beat by Red Hulk, and you're still walking around like you're fine. No, you took the serum, man. Someone injected it in your ass while you were sleeping, and you just didn't know about it because you shouldn't be surviving.
Well, that's also the whole super serum argument. It's like, I know he wants to be like, I'm not going to take the super serum. I'm going to be natural. It's like, whatever. But the whole thing is like, he's not Cap because he's not, as invulnerable or whatever. But also, my thing is like, Cap's whole thing of like being able to like, knock people around and hit them with the shield. He's not throwing it with super strength. He's throwing regular human strength and still knocking 5 people out of the air and shit.
He figured out the cheat code in Falcon Winter Soldier. He figured out the ricochet method, and it fucking works. Good for you. But yeah, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything different than Cap did. But Cap could run super fast, but you don't need to run super fast. You have a fucking jetpack on your back. You're not super strong, but once again, you got the wings to do that shit for you. The wings can cut through a fucking fighter jet and a car. So you have literally everything that Rogers had, except for like the invulnerability. But I'm sorry, dude, you got like all this shit happen to you, and you're walking around fine. Yes, at the end of the movie, he has a sling. It's probably for looks. He don't need that sling. Come on. But it's just, whereas like Danny is a human and gets actually fucked up, and it's like, oh shit, like he's got burn marks and all that crap. And then here's Sam stabbed, shot, obliterated by the Red Hulk. I'm good. I got a sling. I'm fine. But yeah, and it's just the whole Harrison Ford aspect of it. I thought was good. I was shocked that we got Liv Tyler, because I thought when we got the phone call, I was like, that's probably not even her saying those lines. That's probably like AI. They probably just got Liv's voice and AI'd her shit. But then she showed up at the end, and I was like, oh shit, they actually got her in. There was one thing they were like, is this gonna happen? I'm like, fuck no, there's no chance Liv Tyler. That's why they kept showing all her photos. I was like, well, there's no chance she's gonna get in this movie. And she shows up for like 2 minutes of screen time. So okay, cool. Answer this for me though. How far is this ahead of Thunderbolts? Because
I think on timeline wise, I don't know. I have no idea.
Because I'm sorry, I'm not buying that if this is before Thunderbolts, how does Bucky go, I'm running for Congress, to where we're at with where he's at with Thunderbolts? He doesn't even look like the same Bucky in that trailer. He's got shorter hair. He's suited up. He's running for Congress in this, but he looks like Bucky in Thunderbolts. Do you disagree?
No, I don't remember the exact look, but I'm trying to think if he had, when he was sitting in the hearing or whatever with Julia Dreyfus, if he had the little senator pin on. I can't remember.
He has longer hair. He doesn't have this long hair, but he has longer hair than he did here. And because I'm just watching him when he shows up, he talks to Sam. I was like, is this after Thunderbolts? Because this does not look like.
I don't think so. I think it's just they figure this, few months at least between the two, and
then something's gonna have to happen with Bucky to get him back to, because he doesn't seem like the type that would be with the Thunderbolts based off of where we're at in this movie. So something's gotta happen to Bucky. But once again, I enjoed those two back together on screen. I love their chemistry together. I love when like Bucky gives him that speech. He's like, you know what? That was good. The speechwriters gave that one. I love that. I just love those two fucking with each other the whole time.
Yeah.
I wish they would have picked a better song to turn people, because that song got annoying fast. That was such a song. Like, it should have been something fun. I'm not saying it should have been like, something from Guardians, but God, give us something a little bit better than that. But Juan Carlo, I wanted to enjoy more than what we got. I feel like, and that's the other thing, I feel like his character was bigger, and it just got cut out of the movie. Do you feel that way?
I think now I've read a couple articles since I watched the movie. After I watched the movie, I tried to find like what was different in the old version versus after all these reshoots where they apparently changed a whole lot of the movie, and nobody really knows for sure. But from what they can glimpse from like production art or previously released clips of trailers and things like that, they've tried to kind of piece together what was old and what was new. And I think the Serpent Society, of which he was like, one of the head guys, I think they played a much bigger part in whatever the original script was. Now, I don't know that for sure, but I think it had to have been something, because otherwise, like, they made such a big deal of announcing that he was in this movie and he was playing this role of the head of the Serpent Society, Sidewinder, I think was his name, and then he's in this and he's like, just like I said, he just felt like henchman number 4. He didn't feel like a big deal.
Yeah, he was Crossbones. He was like B-level villain. He's there. He's kind of this annoying thorn.
Almost not even Crossbones to me. It was like remember, it was a Secret Invasion where like all those like soldiers and stuff were attacking like the president and stuff like that. It felt like he was one of those to me. He's just like,
see, and I'm glad you brought that up. This movie felt like Secret Invasion to me.
That's not a compliment.
I know it's not a compliment. I mean it
for the audience. Just so you're clear, this is not a compliment.
I'm saying that with the exact intention of what I mean. It was built up to be this big fucking thing, and then it just was this whimpering dud. Hell, I even think, once again, Secret Invasion gets shit on a lot. It is a better, well thought out script than this fucking film.
I can't go that far.
I can go that far, because at least there's a beginning, a middle, and a fucking end to Secret Invasion. It's not a good end, but it's a fucking end. This does not have an end. This has a middle. It has a middle, and there's about 20-30 minutes left off the fucking film. I will say, and okay, this is the other thing that this is gonna be like at the end of the year. I'm gonna bring this up again. And you're gonna be like, what? For most disappointing moment, or you fucked up a Ron award. So here's Thunderbolt rots the president, turns into Red Hulk. What is the first thing his Secret Service does to him? Fucking shoots him. That's the president. Why are you shooting at the president? I don't care if he's the Hulk at that point. I don't care. He's still the fucking president. Y'all just opened fucking fire on the president right there at that moment. That is the dumbest script. You guys should be like, okay, calm down, Mr. President. Not, let's open fire. What if it worked? You just assassinated the president. He's not like a, I mean, granted, you listen to a speaker say he said all these things, did all these things. He's not guilty at that point. And then he turns into the Hulk, and your first thing is shoot the bastard. What? No, absolutely not. At least when Sam's doing it with like Red Wing, he knows it's not going to hurt him. He's just trying to like slow him down and do all this stuff. These people are hoping that it's going to kill him. You're trying to kill your president at that point. You guys are really bad at your job.
I also wonder though, because I think that, you know, obviously Ross and probably everyone who's ever worked with him or around him or for him is familiar with the other Hulk. And I would think that they know bullets aren't going to hurt him. And even if they didn't know that, as soon as they shot him the first 50 times, and then they just keep like, shooting at him, it's like, okay, clearly this isn't working. Maybe try something different. Once
again, that's the whole point. It's like, why did you guys even attempt to shoot at him? You know that the whole that just makes him angrier.
Oh, I didn't say. I meant to say this in the non-spoiler part, but I'll say it now. The reason I love Red Hulk in this is because we finally get back the untamed beast that Hulk is supposed to be, since they've fucking ruined the regular Bruce Banner Hulk so long ago.
Which is funny because in the comics, Red Hulk's supposed to keep his intelligence. So Red Hulk is actually supposed to be like the Hulk you hate now. But he's supposed to be just like the Hulk now. He's supposed to be smart and intelligent and can be well thought out with his plans, while Green Hulk is Green Hulk. So the Red Hulk that we should have gotten is the Hulk that you hate. Which is the funny thing. Yeah. But I thought the fight scene for that worked really well. I think visually it looked awesome, especially when they got
almost all of it in the trailer. So
pretty much. I thought the cherry blossom area looked great. I thought the Hulk smash wave thing looked really good. I liked the end point with the wing. And I thought, because even I was going, damn, okay, they fucked up that whole area. And the White House got obliterated. And even then, it wasn't even anything crazy that they did for that. He just threw him. Once again, and somehow Sam, normal human being, totally okay. But it's... Like I said, man, that's not the end point. That's not the end of the fucking... Because I'm watching this, and I'm like, we can't be at the end. We can't. This can't be the end of the movie. But I'm like, okay, the leader's captured. Unless there's like this subplot thing that they have not given away, or Juan Carlo's about to do something, why does this feel like this is the end of the film? And then it fucking was.
That's the problem. I think they were building to, you know, who knows what. And then kind of they've come up with this thing in recent years where they're like, okay, we need to kind of, you know, regroup the MCU and kind of get things together. And of course they changed the King thing to Doomsday, and so now they work towards that. But also they said they're going to put out, you know, fewer shows and fewer movies. You know, they're going to start, you know, going back to kind of the old style and pacing themselves. So it almost feels like this was kind of building to one thing, but I feel like it's not going anywhere, because now we know like the next thing up is like, you know, Doomsday and then Secret Wars, and this clearly has nothing to do with that. I mean, okay, you have Red Hulk in your back pocket if you want to somehow bring him into things, fine. The leader seems to know that something's coming, but I don't see him being a part of anything that's going to be happening in this. Yeah. And so it's like none of the characters in this are consequential in any way. And okay, now you've basically said, okay, now, you know, Sam is kind of finally taking ownership and taking his rightful place as Captain America, and he's going to try and reform the Avengers. If that was your goal, fine, but really you needed a whole movie to do that.
That's what I was going to say too, is like, if the whole thought through line through this movie was that he has to rebuild the Avengers before Doomsday, he seems very reluctant to do that. And then at the very end of the movie, he just had Falcon join him, which, I'm sorry, that was obviously okay. Well, of course he's in it. You haven't really added anyone else, unless you're gonna have Ruth be the Black Widow, which no, thank you, please don't. Please no. I mean, I would love it if they made Isaiah be a part of it, but I don't think he's going to.
Well, in early, that's one of the things in early production art. Ruth who I believe her superhero name in the comics is like Sabra or something like that, and Isaiah were both like shown in costume in some of the early, concept art. And so it's like apparently they would have had action scenes. I don't know.
Well, the other thing too is his army buddy in the movie, played by William Mark McCullough, who I actually did enjoy him in the movie. He plays Dennis Dunphy. He's supposed to be like Demolition Man, but I'm pretty sure the leader fucking killed him in the movie because he did that thing and it looked like his heart exploded. Yeah, but he is a superhero in the comics. He's Demolition Man. I don't know who Demolition Man is, so don't act like I just looked him up. Huh?
It's Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, I know, right? No, he's too busy being a Ravager in space. But I was like, who is he supposed to be? Somebody? And I saw that. I saw his like comic book outfit, and I was like, oh, so he's a hero. Well, they fucking killed him, so I guess he's not gonna be in it. But I actually did enjoy that guy in the movie. I liked his scenes with Sam, but like I just feel like this almost feels like Star Wars trilogy. I don't think they had a plan. They just threw a bunch of shit together and said, this is a movie, done. Because what is the end goal by the end of this movie? Because it's MCU. Everything has to have an end goal. Everything has to lead to something. Because I was watching this, and I kept seeing like a bunch of different things. I was like, is this going to be like Age of Ultron, where you and I are the only ones to see that this is setting up this, and this, and this, but it's going to take a couple of years to set it up. But I'm watching, I'm like, okay, they're setting up the adamantium. That's going to lead to Wolverine, maybe. Okay, there's Red Hulk, there's Falcon, but that's not setting anything up. They're just there. I don't know what they're setting up in this movie. There's this whole like they're trying this whole treaty thing with the Celestial, but even that just kind of felt like something, a scene to have out there just to go, hey guys, we didn't forget about this thing that's out in the fucking ocean just because you guys have been giving a shit for it for so long.
That's what the movie feels like to me. The movie feels to me like okay, before we start up on our whole new big, building to Doomsday and Secret War, we got to tie up some loose ends. So let's just use this movie to do it. And that's how it became, shove this in there too. Okay, shove this in there too. And it's like...
Yeah, it's like a goulash of just mixed scenes with, like I said, with no endpoint. And that's why I felt like you could have figured out a leader subplot or something for Sidewinder subplot, so that way there's an actual endpoint to this movie. And it was just he fought Red Hulk, and Red Hulk got tired, and so he went to the raft, and that's the end of the movie. And it's just this, yeah. I expected walking into the movie today that I'm probably gonna have to defend this movie against Brian, because I'm more excited about this than Brian. I'm probably gonna have to defend this shit tonight when we talk about this. And instead, it's Brian's not necessarily defending it, but it's like, man, I don't remember. I think it might have been Eternals was the last time I think I just outright disliked the movie so much from the MCU. Because like everyone wants to shit on the Marvels, but we both said Marvels is a mess of a film, but it at least was entertaining and fun. It was a mess, but it was fun. This was not fun. It had fun moments, but it was not a fun movie. It is not one that I really care to go back and rewatch. I'd go back and watch parts of it, but I would never want to. This is like Ant-Man and the Wasp. Can we just say we watched it and not go back and watch this?
Yeah, I've never rewatched Quantumania. I've never rewatched Eternals. I don't know if I'd rewatch. Like you said, I might feel like I want to sit down and watch a scene of it or something, but I don't think I'm ever going to watch this whole movie.
And it sucks because I wanted Anthony Mackie to do so well. I still do. But you know what? He is supposed to be the leader, so we're going to get more of him.
Anthony Mackie was fine in this. I think he's not the problem. Yeah.
No, like I said, there's a couple of scenes where you could tell he's not given full 100%. But I'm sorry, if you probably had to reshoot this thing fucking 6 times, you might be losing your effort into it as well. But when Harrison Ford's out acting you at his age, that's saying something, Anthony. Come on, bro. You're the new face outside of Tom Holland. You're the new face of the MCU. You gotta fucking represent. But
I don't really get that. But
who else is the face of the MCU right now?
That's just it. I don't think they have a very convincing face of the MCU at this point. It's like
you don't think it's Tom Holland.
All the people who they suggest as it is kind of like, they don't really do it. That's why I think they need to hurry up and get to X-Men, because I feel like the big faces of the MCU have all left. And so now it's like they're trying to prop up these secondary people that don't really work as like the lead of the face of the.
I don't disagree with that, but Tom Holland definitely is the face of the MCU right now. Spider-Man is still there. Spider-Man ain't going anywhere, at least anytime soon. But yeah, it's just this movie bummed me out, man. Between this and Love Hurts, that's 2 movies that I wanted to be excited for that just straight up disappoint me. This makes me feel even less excited for Jurassic World, because it's just
it just teaches you to keep your expectations low, because this was like pretty much right where my expectations were for this movie. So,
and mine wasn't even that much higher than yours. It was like probably here, but it's still just because it's still the MCU. I don't expect to be disappointed. I expect to go, hey, it could have been better, but I go, this was shit. Because I'm sorry, that post credit scene, that was like the final nail in the coffin. Because when you see Sam walk up, it literally he looks like an outline in front of a green screen. I was like, this looks. The first thing that popped in my head was like Disney ride, where like you're in line waiting, you look at the TV screen, and it's like, oh look, there's Falcon. Yeah, you can tell he shot that in a Saturday afternoon, because that's a fake ass background behind him. That's what that post credit scene felt like. It looked atrocious. And MCU, no, you don't get to get away with that. Like that's again, no, fuck that. Anything else you'd like to add?
Just the good news for me is that, this doesn't kill my interest in the MCU, because we do know things are coming up, and the next one coming up, Thunderbolts, is my most anticipated of all the Marvel ones that are coming this year. So I'm really looking forward to that, and everything I've seen has only made me more excited about it. So as disappointing as this was, it's not killing my faith in the MCU. It's just this film underwhelmed.
If Thunderbolts ends up being bad, it might break me. It might break me, dude. Like I don't think it will either. Like it just needs to be fine. If it's just fine, I'll survive. But if it sucks too, man, I'm gonna be so just bummed.
Well, it's weird because to me it feels like the first 21 movies or whatever it was, like, built to the big event that was, Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. Yeah. And this time it feels like instead of building to those, we're just like, those are going to be, instead of building those as the climax, the ending of the saga, it feels like those are we're waiting for to finally maybe restart the saga, because everything in between has just been like,
It's been like phase 1, phase 2s without the Avengers movie in between.
Yeah.
We're just like, we're just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall. It can be entertaining, fun stuff, but you're not. If you told us that this wasn't a universe and we're just throwing out superhero movies, like, okay, that's fine. But we know they're all connected, so it's like there's got to be a thing. Which I'm sure Kang or the Jonathan Majors of it all kind of fucking put a big dent into it, because like, oh, all right, we're gonna have to fucking refigure this shit out. Which once again, 4 months back when we saw Robert Downey Jr. announce as Doomsday, or as Dr. Doom, we were excited. We are still excited. It's just, this was the first movie in like, what, a year? And this is what we got? And I was just like, so disappointing. Hopefully Thunderbolts doesn't. But what were your guys' thoughts? Did you guys like Captain America Brave New World? Are you guys with us on this mindset? Let us know in the comments. Also, what was your thoughts on The Gorge, or Paddington in Peru, or Dark Match, if you guys even watched that on Shudder, or Hard Eyes? I was like, we talked about one more. Let us know in the comments below. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the movie Crusaders. And of course, you can follow us on all the social media outs you see below. Coming up next, let's see, next week, we really need to start just pulling this shit up before
next week is The Monkey and Cleaner.
Yes, The Monkey.
Although Cleaner's gonna be very limited release. And then the week after that is Looney Tunes Day the Earth Blew Up.
I don't know
Lost Lands, which is it's what's her name? Mila Jovovich and Dave Bautista in that one. Based on George R. R. Martin book, I believe. Last Breath is Simu Liu and Woody Harrelson. And My Dead Friend Zoe.
And Riff Raff.
Oh yeah, I didn't put that on my calendar. You're right.
Yeah, Riff Raff also. So we got some good ones out here. I think in terms of reviews, probably The Monkey, just because Brian's been building this movie up for me. Just like, dude, don't watch it, it's gonna be great. I more or less
I was
want
supposed to see a screening of it on Wednesday
you
night.
said,
And
right?
that's the
Yeah.
night we got a snowstorm, and I couldn't go.
Oh, so it was this past Wednesday?
It was going to be this past Wednesday, like a week and a half early.
Oh,
But it was like, it's at the theater like an hour away, and the roads were getting really bad. So I'm like, oh.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I thought it was this upcoming Wednesday, so you were going to see like potentially a day before me kind of thing.
Honestly,
I hope I get to see The Monkey this week, and if we do, we might talk about it because I'm just so interested to see if Brian is going to turn a new leaf with this director, or if he's going to double down on the hatred of this director. That's honestly, I am more intrigued by that possibility than I am the movie itself. But we probably will have a review for The Monkey. If not, we'll just do it on a Movie Crusaders chat about and lump it all together. But
And I don't know that we're going to talk about it, but just for people's information, don't forget Reacher starts next week too.
I still haven't watched season 2. Okay, guy who still hasn't watched like any of the Invincibles, so I don't want to hear it.
I have too. I watched the first 3 episodes of it when it first came out.
Yeah, season 4 is out right now, bud. But anyway, or season 3. But we do have the Oscar show coming up here shortly. I think the Oscars are like 2 weeks away. So that's going to be coming up here very shortly, where we're going to be talking about who should win, who we think will win. And then, but most importantly, we'll be giving out our awards for the Big 5 awards, which is really what we all care about. We don't care about the Oscars. We care about our Oscars. So be on the lookout for that. But yes, until next time, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Waskrug. That is Brian Michaels. And in case we don't see you, go watch the movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.